using their Snapchat. concession stand now and see what they have. And hot dogs. scoreboards bug the crap out of me.
Yeah, my boss at McDonald's let me off like a half hour late today. I was like, you're killing me, dude. I got off at 5:30.
Playing a tennis still.
Yeah, grabbed a quick shower and got over here. I talked to the Ganley people. They're like, oh, we're interested. Here's my email. I'll get back to you. So I sent them an email with the thing you attached and all that stuff. And no response. So.
Send me their email. I'll keep on and I'll send them yours.
Okay, it's the GM's email. It's Brian Goomer or something like that. It starts with a G.
I'll just keep sending them stuff.
Are the Kirtland brothers or
Yes. Just remind me before we start, I gotta press the record.
or the audio?
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
and welcome into another broadcast on OhioVarsity.com. I'm John Kosis alongside Steve Hare, and tonight we'll be watching the Berkshire Badgers take on the Kirtland Hornets. Kirtland is 6-4 this year, but they are 6-1 in the Chagrin Valley Conference. They'll be playing Berkshire, who's 2-8 this year. And although they are 2-8, it hasn't gone quite all bad for this team this season. Their last 3 losses have all been in the CVC, and they've been by a total of 10 points, including a 53-51 loss at Hawken earlier last week. The Berkshire seniors have seen Kirtland quite a few times. They've seen them 5 times, and they're 4-1 this year. Not this year, in their careers rather. Their only loss is this year though, 51-54 versus Kirtland. Although this matchup may look far apart because of the records, it's much closer than it seems. Isn't that right, Steve?
Oh, no doubt. 64-50 win for Kirtland earlier this year. Berkshire was playing without Nick Guarnera, who got injured in that opener. So as you mentioned, this is the first time Berkshire's starting 5 is going to play together in almost the entire season. So the matchup on paper is a good one. You have Ryan Johnson for Berkshire, Emil Hess, 2 of the top players in the CVC. And then you flip it over to Kirtland, and you have Palmer Capretta and Jeremy Davis, Brandon Samsa. Those are the 3 power players over at Kirtland. And then you have Dominic Capretta, Jack Bailey, just so many other guys that contribute on a nightly basis. Berkshire has the same. They have Aaron Pollock. They have Nick Guarnera. They have some firepower as well. Can the Badgers put it all together? They've had some tough losses over the course of the last couple of weeks in the CVC, and it hasn't shown up in their record, but it's a quality team playing another quality team in the Kirtland Hornets.
What's going to be interesting to see is how size matches up against size. Matt Bracalo is 6'4". Kyle Work, 6'5". They play for Kirtland. And then if you look on the other side, you already mentioned Emil Hess. He's 6'5". You have a number of trees to play in the post here for both of these teams, and that's something you don't see at the Division III level as much. Right,
yeah. Size is it's at a premium at these smaller schools, but on Emil Hess, number one, you look at him, I mean, he's the biggest guy out here. He's got, probably a foot arm's length on just about any other player, and he is an X factor. He was in the first game he was last year as Berkshire swept Kirtland in both regular season matchups. And what he does is he's just getting up on the glass. He's getting those rebounds. He's altering shots. He's a big X factor for the Badgers. If he plays well, things can go well for them. Kirtland has to try and take him out of the game, and I thought they did a pretty good job of that in the first matchup this season. Again, they were playing. Berkshire was playing without Nick Guarnera, so that made a little bit of a difference. How that changes things tonight, I don't know. But Kirtland's going to rely on its strength. They're going to play hard, aggressive defense. They're going to try and score in transition, and it's going to come down to Palmer Capretta. He missed a game a couple weeks ago with an illness, and Kirtland just barely beat Cardinal in overtime. It was on a last-second shot by Jeremy Davis. But since he's been back, Capretta's averaging nearly 30 points a game. So whatever he had, he came back from strong, and he's been playing very, very well. His younger brother Dominic has been a real contributor for the Hornets this season, and the 2 of them together, very difficult to guard.
What'll be interesting to see is how the 2 sets of seniors perform against each other. Kirtland has 5 seniors on the roster, and Berkshire has an incredible 7 seniors on their varsity roster this year, including Emil Hess. You can't say enough about the young player. When you're looking at both of these 2 teams, you know that they're teams that have experience in the CVC. They're teams that know a lot about the other 2. They've seen each other. That means we are bound to see a great game tonight.
Oh, no question. I think every time these 2 teams get together, it's a battle. They, as we've mentioned, they play each other twice a year, so they know each other well. They've been at the top of the CVC standings over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, so they definitely are well aware of each other, their strengths, their weaknesses. They know how to game plan against each other. Executing that is the biggest problem.
And this is the first class that has completely gone through the head coach here at Berkshire. That's Keith Klapix, rather. And that's something that you kind of get to notice a little bit in high school more so than at any other level, because your system's kind of in place and has been clear since freshman year for all of these players.
Yeah, and that makes a difference. You're not learning a system as a junior and a senior anymore. You grow up through the program. You've developed your offensive and defensive game plans. You know it by heart now. It's all rhythm. It's all repetition. And, they've had a lot of success under Coach Claypax. And, they're trying to turn things around this season. With 4 conference losses, you would think that they're out of the race, but they're not. The CVC Valley Division is still wide open. Obviously, Berkshire can't afford another loss, but if they can deal Kirtland a second loss here, Kirtland still has to play Richmond Heights and Hawken, 2 of the top teams in the league. They already have a loss to Hawken, so it's kind of crazy the way things have shaped out this year. And so the Badgers aren't out of the hunt, but it starts tonight. They've got to get that first win to stop that 3-game losing streak in the CVC.
To add to your point, that 2-8 really doesn't do them justice. You talk about Hawken, one of the top teams in the CVC. They only lost Hawken by 2 points in the last week. Everyone near the top of the CVC is at the same level. It's not as though you're watching Richmond Heights run away by 20 or 30 every single game, or Hawken run away by that much. It's all close here.
That it is. And we're going to break here for a moment as we prep for our national anthem, and we'll be right back with this CVC Valley Division Showdown.
Berkshire High School, on behalf of its Board of Education and Administration, would like to welcome you to tonight's basketball contest between the Berkshire Badgers and the Kirtland Hornets. At this time, would you please stand and remove all hats so that we may honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
And we're back. CVC Valley Division Showdown. Kirtland Hornets remains tied for first place with Hawken here at Berkshire, where the Badgers are trying to climb back into the league title race. And it starts tonight. As we mentioned, they're on a 3-game losing streak, but those 3 losses came by a total of 10 points. And the Badgers, for the first time since the season opener, are playing with their starting 5 now that Nick Wernera is healthy and the rest of the starting lineup is all intact. So how will that impact the Badgers? We're about to find out.
And it should be a fun matchup, regardless of skill level. Again, when we're looking at 2-8 and when we're looking at a 6-4 record, sometimes you think, man, one team might run away with it. But when you have that type of familiarity with the team, when you see them multiple times every year, those games always tend to be a little bit closer than the ones where it might be a little bit mismatched. But I haven't heard this team in my entire high school career. We've all been there a little bit before.
Yeah, well, even in the first matchup, Kirtland won 64-50. So if you look at that, you're like, oh, that must have been a blowout. But it wasn't. Kirtland kind of ran away with it a little bit later, in the fourth quarter, but that game was close, back and forth throughout the first 3 quarters. It was a battle, and in the end, Kirtland just had a little bit more firepower. They had a little bit more consistency with their point guard than Berkshire did without theirs. So, how much of a difference is that going to make tonight? We'll see. We're also playing here at Berkshire, tougher place to play, nice student section all the time. Kirtland's got a little cheering section over there, not quite as big, but it's the Badgers' home, so they're supposed to come out and try and defend it.
What'll be important to see is how big of an impact Guanera has, because again, he didn't play at all in that game against Kirtland.
And now let's meet your Berkshire Badgers.
Another thing that'll be important to look out for is, can Hess get out there and actually make a difference? Because you mentioned it earlier, Kirtland controlled him quite a bit in their last matchup against each other. Now it's time to see what the head coach of Berkshire did in between games to kind of make an adjustment for that.
Right. And just to kind of go over those starting lineups once again for Kirtland, you've got sophomore Dominic Capretta, 5'10 guard. Palmer Capretta, a senior guard, also he comes in at 5'11. Brandon Samsa, a junior guard, he's at 6'3". Senior Jeremy Davis, a 5'9 guard. And junior guard Dylan Falco, who comes in at 6'2". For the Badgers, you've got senior Emil Hess. He's a 6'5 guard forward combo. You have senior Brian Malkus, a 6' forward. Senior Aaron Pollock, a 5'10 guard. Senior Ryan Johnson, a 6'1 combo guard. And senior Nick Guanera, a 5'10 guard. So Berkshire's got the experience. Kirtland's got the youth and the dynamic talent, and we're going to see how it all comes together here momentarily.
And if you looked at warm-ups, it looked as though Berkshire had size, but Kirtland had a little bit more speed. You're seeing two teams that are going to try and play a different type of game against each other. Hess ends up winning the jump ball, but it dribbles right out of bounds. Kirtland will start with it today. That's Dylan Folco on the inbound, and he gives it right away to Palmer Capretta. You already talked about how he's averaging 30 points a game since he came back from illness. He passes it right back to Samsa, and Palmer Capretta has it once again. He dribbles in, a quick little floater, bounces short, and the rebound will go Berkshire's way.
And they're moving quickly.
That's a missed layup, and they end up getting control of it. It will be Kirtland's ball, though, after it was mishandled by Brian Malkus.
Both teams obviously looking to get out to a fast start. They want to set the tempo. They want to create their own game plan here. They want to take charge early. And so I think you're going to see each team try to play fast and aggressive, and that's going to lead to some turnovers.
This is Dominic Capretta, who passes it to his brother, Palmer. Palmer kicks it, stolen, and ends up staying in the half court. Heads up play by Jeremy Davis, cutting off the weak pass. A three is heaved, and it rims out for Brandon Samsa. Now it's controlled by Berkshire. That's Nick Guanera again. He hasn't played a lot this season. His pass and his shot's up. Now Kirtland ball on the rebound. Driving in the lane, a layup is missed, but there's a rebound. And that's Brandon Samsa. He's been very active on the boards thus far tonight. Shots up and in. Jeremy Davis gets the first two of the night. There's 6:45 remaining, and we have a score now.
And that's Jeremy Davis. He's going to make that running layup. You're going to see him cut to the basket quite often. And that was the exact shot that he scored on against Cardinal in overtime to win that one.
Guanera set it up before giving it over to Paula. Paula gets in the lane to Hess, who gets his own rebound off a short layup. He tries to pass it out to Johnson. Now it's out once again. Floater is off the glass, too long. Rebound goes Kirtland's way. A couple of those second chance opportunities will eventually begin to fall. Pump fake from Palmer Capretta, gets in the lane. He passes it to his brother. Now it's out to Samsa. Shot is up and in. The score is now 5-0 after that three, and Kirtland starting a run here.
And those threes will be aplenty. Kirtland likes to shoot from outside.
Hess's shot is short, and what does Kirtland do? They stay physical with him. They try and keep him away from the ball. They try to follow his rebound again, and Kirtland gets rewarded. They'll have the ball here. It's Jeremy Davis trying to map out this full court press. He heaves it across the court to Samsa. He's cornered, but then he finds an opening. Back to Samsa, across to Palmer Capretta. Shot is up, off the front of the rim and off the back. Rebound ends up going to Hess, using that 6'5" body. It's stolen by the young Capretta, and he has a layup opportunity. He passes it. A foul is called. It's going to negate an easy layup for Brandon Samsa.
So that's what you've got to contend with. You've got Palmer Capretta, who's a very good ball handler, but then you've got Dominic, who's coming in as the youngster.
Dominic has been taking the majority of point guard opportunities. Shot is up and in. 3 from Palmer Capretta. 8-0 now. It doesn't matter that Brandon Samsa's layup was waved off. Kirtland got an extra point off
They sure
the
did.
half-court offense.
Yeah, I think that's a trade they'll take every day of the week.
Berkshire still trying to get on the board here. Shot is up from the corner and in. That's how you get things started, Ryan Johnson, the 6'1" senior forward. Layup in the lane, rims out for Jeremy Davis. He shows his frustration, but then right on the other end, Berkshire throws it out of bounds. Those are the unforced turnovers you have to avoid, especially when you're trailing early.
Yeah, no question. And going back to that three-pointer by Johnson, he's so dangerous because he can cut through the lane. He's got the size to get in there and get those easy baskets and do those things, but he's also dangerous from behind the arc.
Palmer Capretta will start with the ball. He gives it to his brother. Loops around. Now all of a sudden Davis has it. It's back up to Palmer Capretta. A rhythm shot goes off the rim. Hess will bring it up now.
Another rebound for Brian Malkus.
Malkus gives it back to Hess. He's trying to diagnose the defense. He passed it to Pollock in the corner. He tries to get some rhythm off the dribble. Shot is up. It's a 3. And Malik misses. It's thrown off of the Kirtland defender by Hess, and the ball will stay in Berkshire's hands.
Brian Malkus, funny story there. He comes from a family of wrestlers. Both of his older brothers went on to the Ohio High School State Tournament.
That's a 2, and that goes for Aaron Pollock. Another rhythm shot there. You're starting to see those openings in Kirtland's defense. The score, 8-5 with 3:55 remaining.
Yeah, and somehow Brian Malkus turned into a basketball player.
Every once in a while you'll see one. That's Palmer Capretta. Jumper, that's an air ball.
He's going to call that a pass when they're looking at film.
Right, and right away Falco, after getting it scooped up, gets it off the glass, 10-5. Kirtland's in control early on. You're starting to see the offense wake up for the Badgers right now. Pollock has the ball. He gives it to Guinera. Guinera tries to feed it to Hess. Hess rhythm throws, but it's intercepted by a Capretta. And now it's intercepted right again by Guinera. He's missed a lot of time this year. He tries to get a shot off, and he's fouled. Within 2 feet of the hoop, now he'll have a chance at the free throw line. It's our first opportunity at the charity stripe tonight for either team.
Yeah, 3:07 left here in the first quarter, and first 5 minutes, it's been nonstop action.
First shot's up and in. 6-10 is the score now with 3:07 remaining. We're looking at Brian Malkus walking off.
Tim Pillett in for Malkus.
Next shot rims out, but Kirtland loses it. That was a tough break right there for Jack Bailey, the sophomore forward. He had it in his hands and just lost control of it out of bounds. Hess gets it on the block. He's been a non-factor thus far, and he's been doubled the second he's touched the ball every time. That's Guinera taking it at point. He's slowing things down. It's back to Guinera at the top. He's going to take a big 3. No chance there. Capretta gets the rebound. Capretta brings it up, throws it across court. That's Samsa. Foul is called as Hess was in the lane trying to throw back and forth with, it looks like Jack Bailey trying to get physical with him. Bailey's got weight on him, but Hess has size. He'll try and disrupt the star player there. The ball is going to somehow stay in Kirtland's control, and Badger country here is not very happy.
I've got to agree with him on that one. That ball went and hit Palmer Capretta right in the chest, and he was standing out of bounds.
I wonder if it hit the baseline before it hit him because it bounced up into his chest.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Gotta trust the officials on the floor, right? Samso throws it up off the inbound.
That was Davis.
Yes, it was, and that's a long rebound. Berkshire has it. Johnson in the corner.
Pillett thought about that one.
He thought about it. He hesitated and got out of rhythm. Hess has it. Again, in double coverage. Guinera gets it back down. Pillett. That's out. Dribble penetration back up to Guinera. Wide open shot for Pillett, and he drains it. 9-10. We're within 1 here with 2:10 remaining. He had all day to take that, and coming off the bench, you got to make those shots or you'll go right back to the bench.
No doubt about it. Yeah, big shot for Pillett.
Davis's pass, the shot is long, and Hess is trying to get the ball past half court. What are they saying? It's going to be a backcourt violation for Kirtland, as they were the first players to touch it once it passed backcourt.
I think the referees are going to talk about that one. It looked kind of questionable. I think that was a tip ball off of Emil Hess.
That's what it looked like to me, but they're saying that it never got past the half-court mark before it was touched by Kirtland.
Yeah, it looks like that's what Nick Gallo, Kirtland's coach, is trying to argue, and he's going to lose that one for now.
Instead, Guinera's going to bring it up.
1:50 on the clock. First quarter, Chagrin Valley Conference Valley Division action.
Pillett pumped, and now he's going to take it himself after dribbling around. That one rims out.
Jeremy Davis on the rebound.
That's Palmer Capretta in the lane, passes it back out to his brother Dominic. Pump fake back to Palmer.
Might just be easier to say Capretta to Capretta to Capretta.
Right. Palmer forces a shot, gets his own rebound, puts it back up, and it rolls in. Palmer Capretta gets a 2 there, and now the difference is 3.
12-9, 1:12 left here in the first quarter.
And we'll get our first timeout, it looks like. It's called by Kirtland.
And that is going to be a full timeout.
What we've noticed early on is Berkshire has the rebounding advantage, but their shots haven't been falling early. If you look at since about 3:45 remaining, Berkshire's actually winning this game, though.
Right, and Berkshire is 3 of 11 for 27%. Kirtland's 5 of 14 for 36%, and there's your difference. It's about about 3 points in that 9% difference. But yeah, Kirtland with more shots. The rebounds, Kirtland has 8, Berkshire has 10. So Berkshire with a slight advantage there. But yeah, the shots are starting to fall for both teams. And that rebounding, as we said, we've seen Emil Hess come up with a few. Brian Malkus was strong early on.
And Malkus went on the bench. He's resting right now. I imagine he's going to open up the second quarter. He might even come back out here. We'll see.
Looks like Dominic Capretta, Jack Bailey, Brandon Samsa, Jeremy Davis, and Tommy Powers in for the Hornets. Emil Hess, Guinera, Pillett, Johnson, and Pollock in for the Badgers.
And Pillett wide open in the lane. Good heads-up play from Davis. Not Davis, from Johnson, who got it at half court.
Now we knew this was going to be a battle. Each team trading punches. Berkshire still looking for its first lead.
Shots up and in.
The big fella, Jack Bailey.
Yeah, Jack Bailey has a nice touch for a guy who's 6'2", and looks like he's just in there to mess with Hess's head for most of it.
Well, they want to put a big body on a big guy, and they need him to get in there and alter Hess's path to the basket.
When you can step out from 12 to 14 feet like that, Guinera pump fake, wide open, shot in. 13-14 as the clock winds down here in the first quarter.
Under 10 seconds. Kirtland looking for that buzzer beater. It's going to be Davis.
And he gets it. Incredible. The score after one, 17-13 in favor of Kirtland. That was a heck of a shot. He had space. He had an open lane to see the back of the rim, and he followed through. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Now, if you and I get out there, let's see how many times we make that shot.
Yeah, I don't make too many of them. That's why I was a wrestler in high school. So we're going to move on to the second period here at Berkshire High School in Burton, Ohio. The visiting Kirtland Hornets lead 17-13 over the host Berkshire Badgers in the Chagrin Valley Conference Valley Division Showdown. Typically, these two teams are among the top in the division. Kirtland is there. Berkshire, surprisingly, already has 4 conference losses. But as we mentioned, the last 3 were by a total of 10 points, and they came in the last week and a half. The Badgers are now at full strength with their full lineup. Nick Guinera returning to the lineup is a big boost for the Badgers, and it shows as it's a 17-13 game here after 1 quarter.
Like you said, though, Kirtland ran away late in this last game. Berkshire kind of arrived late to the party here today. And as you saw, if you take out that buzzer-beating 3, it's 13-14 after 1 quarter. It's 13-17 now. But if you take out that last 3, this is a 1-point game. Berkshire won the last 4 or 5 minutes of that quarter.
Yeah, Palmer Capretta with 5, Jeremy Davis with 5 for the Hornets, and Tim Pillett with 5 for the Badgers to lead the Badgers through that first quarter.
If the Badgers want to stay in this game, they need to see more from their big man, Emil Hess. That's Guinera at the point. He made some things happen late in the quarter. Johnson, baseline jumper. That's going to be short. It's rebounded by Palmer Capretta. Capretta passes it to the corner. Now it goes to the other Capretta. Dominic gets a 3. 13-20. 7:26 remaining. This is the second quarter, and 2 threes, 1 to end a quarter and 1 to begin a quarter, make a deficit seem much larger than it was.
That turns into a run when you can string them together like that.
That's Guinera. Passed it to the corner, then back into Hess. But Hess can't control it as he's already double-teamed before he can even touch the ball. Palmer Capretta passes it out. And they're going to say that he carried the ball. That was Dylan Folco who gets called with that one.
So a turnover for the Hornets.
Now it's Berkshire's ball once again. That's Pillett bringing it up. I guess if he had that great of an end of the first quarter, why not try and get the ball in his hand a little bit more?
Malkus back in the game for the Badgers.
Shots up off the glass from Pillett. It's just a bit too strong. Folco in the lane. Gets it to the big man Bailey, and he's fouled underneath the hoop. He'll get opportunity at 2 more shots.
Foul called on Joe Bennington, who's in the game for the first time. That's his first foul, 3rd team foul.
Bailey's first shot is up and off the front of the glass. He looked a little bit better, ranging freely along the baseline when he had that 12-foot jumper earlier.
6:34 remaining in the half.
His second shot wasn't the prettiest, but it went in, and now the difference is 8. That's Pillett bringing it up again. Guinera's getting some rest. Johnson has it. Swings it back to Malkus. Now it's Bennington who tries to get it in the lane. Johnson controls it. Pump fake into Malkus. Spins up and short. The rebound goes the way of Tommy Powers. Powers gets it to Folco. The pass is wide of Dominic Capretta. Or rather, that was Palmer Capretta. Either way, it goes out of bounds and becomes Berkshire's ball. Hess will be the inbounder. Guinera is back out. He has the ball now. Guinera gives it to Malkus, right back to Guinera, into Hess. Malkus has it. A floater can't get it to fall, though. Palmer Capretta dribbling in. He ends up getting called for the charge as he led with his elbow. And that means it's Berkshire's ball. He seems astounded. He said, I was pinned between 2 guys.
They always plead their innocence.
Right. Now it's Guinera bringing it back up. He's slowing it down, trying to recapture some momentum for this team. Corner 3 rims out for Johnson. Hess tried to punch it free but couldn't.
Davis on the rebound for the Hornets.
Now it's in the corner with Samsa, back to Davis. He's at the wing, gets it back to the corner. It's heaved, but broken up. Hess has some space. It's a one-on-one, and he gets his first points of the game. 15-21 in transition, using Kirtland's own game against them. There's 5:06 remaining. Palmer Capretta is bringing it up.
And that started with a bad pass from the Hornets. Hess got in the way, and he had a path to the basket. Tough to stop.
The zone defense is starting to work here a little bit because Kirtland's trying to do too many cross-court passes. Here it creates an opening. The three is up and long, rebounded by Guinera. Guinera will do what he does best and bring it up. He passes it to the corner. Now it's right back to Guinera. Johnson has it at the wing. He's going to dribble in, fading away, tries to get to fall, but it goes a bit long. Now it's an opportunity, and a long layup does not go in for Jeremy Davis. Johnson pushes it back to Hess. Hess pulls up for three. Short, but he's fouled.
Foul. That's a big foul there on Jack Bailey.
3 free throws can make a big difference right now. The score's 15-21, and Hess has the opportunity to cut that lead in half.
Yeah, that's a mistake from the Hornets. You don't like to see that, especially on a three-pointer. But once that shot's away, you don't ever like to foul.
Hess did a good job of drawing contact there. He didn't shy away as he jumped up. He makes the first one. Now it's 16-21.
We've got 4:15 left here in the second quarter. Kirtland up 21-16. Hess shooting the second of 3 free throw tries.
He gets it to fall. He has 4 points in about the last 45 seconds. It took him about 10 minutes to get onto the board, but now he's making an impact, mostly in transition. All of this has actually been from transition.
Yeah, he started with that steal, that breakaway steal that he scored on, and now 3 straight free throws.
The lead is cut back down to a single possession for Kirtland.
21-18, 4:10 left.
Bailey's under the hoop and gets a layup to fall on the mismatch. Malkus was stuck under there instead of Hess. The zone's not going to work if your big guy's not in the middle. And here's a timeout from Berkshire this time.
Looks like a 30-second timeout for the Badgers.
I think that's them talking about what you have to do after a made free throw when you're getting back into that zone. Remember, they started off in man-to-man. Now they're playing zone. Look at what's happened to Kirtland since they started playing zone. Their offense has slowed down. They've been trying to pass the ball across the court because they're getting trapped close together. And this is where spreading out the court is going to be important for Kirtland. You haven't seen it here. This timeout might be advantageous to Kirtland because they can talk about how they need to space out.
Malkus, Pollock, Bennington, Hess, and Guinera. For the Badgers. The Hornets come out with Samsa, Davis, Dylan Folco, Dominic Capretta, and Jack Bailey.
That's Hess bringing it up. Passes it to the point. That's Pollock out again. At the wing, Hess tries to make something happen, and that's an easy layup for Joe Bennington, coming right off the bench and right into our scorebook.
Well, that's the problem you have in guarding Hess. You've got to be so aggressive in trying to keep him from the basket that once you get there.
Guinera with the steal. He has space. That's an easy layup. 22-23. Defense wins you games. You're seeing it here from the zone. Another cross-court pass. The ball's on the court, but Hess gets him trapped. Once again, Pollock this time gets a steal. Guinera coming in. He's going to put it up. He's fouled. Make that and one. 24-23.
Wow. And
an opportunity to go up by 2 here in Badger Company for Berkshire. 3:09 remaining, and all the momentum is going to purple and yellow.
Foul on Dominic Capretta, his first, team fourth. I'm sorry, that's his second. Now they just updated. His fourth, team. And Palmer Capretta comes in for Dominic Capretta. Johnson in for Hess. Guinera to shoot 1. to tie it.
Guinera puts it up and hard off the back of the rim. That rebound goes the way of Jeremy Davis. Pass goes to Samsa. Palmer Capretta has to make an athletic catch. He's
Sorry about that, folks. Someone unplugged us downstairs and we lost our power. So it's 27-26 Kirtland, 1:45 left in the half. Shot from Bennington doesn't go.
now Palmer Capretta's bringing it back up. A foul is called. That shot won't count. 1:39 remaining, and Kirtland will have a chance to slow it down. That means they're going to have to face the zone defense of Berkshire once again in the half court. Palmer Capretta passes it to Jeremy Davis, just a little handoff. They're still about 10 feet out, but Palmer Capretta tries to get a
Pollock
shot
with a
down
block.
court. Hess to Johnson. Johnson spins, puts it off the glass. It's just short. As Davis tried to draw a charge, he gets right back up, and he's in the lane. He puts a shot up. He'll be at the free throw line despite the shot going short. 26-27, 1:12 remaining. The closing minute and the opening minute have been the most important for Kirtland in both of these quarters.
Sorry about that. I had to get my scoreboard up to date after we lost power.
Davis's first shot is up and off the front, off the back, and back off the front again before rattling out. His second shot just goes off the back before Hess grabs a rebound and passes it up. That's Pillett. Pillett to Guinera in the corner. Guinera to Johnson up the wing. Up, drawing contact and in. Aaron Pollock. He gives his team a lead with 54 seconds remaining.
Back and forth we go. We told you it'd be.
There's 35 seconds remaining, and Kirtland is content with holding the ball here. That's Palmer Capretta. He's 10 feet away from the three-point line. He hands it off to Tommy Powers before we're going to have some change of players after a foul is called. That's Malkus coming in, and it looks as though that's Pollock sitting down. Inbound goes to Palmer Capretta. He's back past half court. 15 seconds are remaining. Capretta dribbling, passes it to the wing. That's Mueller trying to make something happen against Guinera on defense. Pick is set. Capretta has it. 3-2 shot. Desperation heave goes wide. That shot will not count. And look at what happened just before the half. Berkshire grabs a lead, 28-27. And that's probably not what you would have expected after Kirtland opened up on an 8-0 run. Let's just recap here. Kirtland came out in enemy territory here in the Valley Division of the Chagrin Valley Conference. They came out and made a couple of rhythm threes. Berkshire really struggled to do much of anything early on offensively, and they were playing man defense. Things weren't working their way. They switched to zone, they get a couple of stops, and they got it to within 1 at the end of the first quarter. Then, with 3 seconds remaining, Kirtland gets the ball, they heave up a 3. Now they're up by 4. They make a 3 to start the second quarter. Then they're up by 7. Slowly but surely, Berkshire starts to chip away at the lead. And wouldn't you know it, 28-27 here is the score, all in favor of none other but the Berkshire Badgers. Let's look at some individual performers. Everyone wants to hear about the big man in the center for Berkshire, Emil Hess. He's been a bit of a non-factor, however, he had 5 points consecutively for Berkshire. Those 5 points were all in transition. It started off with a 2, it was just an easy layup. And then he had a 3, not traditionally though. He had a steal, he went up and pulled up for 3. He missed the shot, but got 3 opportunities at the line and converted on each and every one of them. Another critical player was Aaron Pollock. He did not get a lot of points on the scoreboard. He had 4 total. He added a rebound in there, but he made some good defensive and athletic plays for the Berkshire Badgers. Let's look at the other side now. Jack Bailey, the big man. He came off the bench. He was just supposed to counter Hess. What did he end up doing? He ended up scoring 5 points. He was only 1 for 2 from the line, but he also had 2 made field goals. That ends up helping out Kirtland a little bit, particularly because in that second quarter, the second half of the second quarter specifically, they were just flat offensively. A lot of that had to do with the 2-3 zone that the Berkshire Badgers were running. But now we're going to have to see what's going to happen when Kirtland comes out of the locker room, because we have a pretty good idea of what Berkshire is going to do. Berkshire's going to come out in that zone again. They're going to smother them. They start off in a full court press. Instead, they said, let's let our half-court defense do the work that it needs to do, and if we accomplish the job there, it doesn't matter what happens with the athletic guards, both Capretas, Palmer and David, or with Jeremy Davis. You have a lot of senior guards there who are very athletic. Jeremy Davis is 5'9", Palmer Capreta's 5'11", Dominic Capreta's 5'10". When you look at these guards, they're going to make a lot of people miss over on the other side of the court. And if you can't get it to the half court that Berkshire's zone defense was running, then it doesn't matter. That's what was happening. Hess was out of position. He wasn't able to make those great defensive plays that he did once Berkshire shifted to the zone. And once they shifted to the zone, you saw a lot more success, and you saw the final score of the half, 28-27, happen to fall in Berkshire's favor.
All right, I've got my statistics back to updated after our technical difficulties. You never know what you're going to run into when you're on location, but yeah, let's take a look at some of the stats. Berkshire now shooting 41% after that slow start. Kirtland's at 46%. They've got 17 rebounds for the Hornets and 14 for the Badgers. Berkshire with a block, 4 steals, 6 turnovers. Kirtland with 6 turnovers and 3 steals. So the numbers pretty even for both teams. When we look at the leading scorers, Palmer Capreta, Brandon Samsa, Jeremy Davis, and Jack Bailey each have 5 for the Hornets. Dylan Falco with 4 and Dominic Capreta with 3. And then over for Berkshire, you have Tim Pillett with 5. Nick Renera leads the team with 7. Emil Hess with 5. Aaron Pollock 4. Ryan Johnson 3. Joe Bennington and Brian Malkus both have 2. And that's where we are at halftime. the Badgers lead the Hornets 28-27. Again, this is a Chagrin Valley Conference Valley Division showdown. Kirtland looking to maintain its hold on a tie for first place. Berkshire looking to shake things up and keep alive its hopes for a division title.
Are you saying playoff implications this early, Steve?
Well, I wouldn't call it playoff implications. I mean, obviously, every game is going to be a game with playoff implications because they're all going to make the tournament. They're all looking for a higher seed, and to get that higher seed, you have to have a better record and more impressive wins. So coming out and beating a Kirtland or beating a Berkshire that's going to go on and win some games down the stretch, that's going to be an impressive win that when you're at that seeding meeting with all the other area coaches, you're going to be able to say, okay, well, here's our record. We know that you've got the same record, but look at the teams we beat compared to the teams you beat. And so, yeah, they all have playoff implications. But this one has not only that sense of, bragging rights. Berkshire wants to hold on to its CVC title that it won last year and the year before. Kirtland wants to regain that title. And right now, so for them, they've got to win this game just to kind of keep pace with first place Hawken and Richmond Heights. Another loss could do some damage to Kirtland's hopes. Berkshire with 4 losses can't afford another league loss. And if they win, they'll knock Kirtland into 2. They can go on. They can beat Richmond Heights. They can beat Hawken to give them another loss. And the way the league is, you can count on somebody else beating those teams as well. And so Berkshire's not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got to start with a win for them today. And then meanwhile, Kirtland, a loss could do some damage to theirs because you don't know if they're going to be able to run the table against this balanced CVC Valley division.
And let's bring it back from the wider scope of the entire CVC to just these two teams. And specifically, let's talk a little bit about the Berkshire Badgers. We talked about Guanera and how he really only played one half this entire season before this game. We didn't know how he was going to impact this game, and maybe he's not lighting it up on the score sheet. But I would say he's having a very big impact for the Badgers, and the fact that once it gets to the half-court offense, they keep passing it back out to him at the point, and they trust him to either send it to a wingman or send it into Hess or move around, and he's even taken a couple of rhythm shots off the dribble or off of a head fake to kind of just start the offense, to get that spark. And early on, that's what was important for Berkshire. Things started settling more in out of transition for Berkshire later, in the second quarter specifically. But early on, it was Guanera.
It was. And early on, too, for Kirtland, they had everything going on defense, created some offensive opportunities that they were able to capitalize on, and it helped them build that early lead. Berkshire chipped away. Then we went back and forth a little bit, and here we are. Berkshire holds that 1-point advantage. So they didn't panic early. And then they let their strength kind of take over, and that's playing that aggressive defense, creating some shots. We talked about the length that Emil Hess has, and we saw that on a couple of block shots, a couple of deflections. That one led to an easy layup by him, another led to that easy layup by Aaron Pollock. So he's getting in the way. Kirtland's got to find a way to kind of take him out of the game again. And they've got to start hitting their shots because they started shooting well early and then cooled off, and Berkshire picked it up, and that led us to where we are now.
Early on, we said the length advantage belonged to Berkshire, but the athleticism advantage belonged to Kirtland. The length stayed true. We've seen a lot of good offensive rebounds that have really forced second-hand opportunities for Berkshire. But the athleticism hasn't been all one way with Kirtland. We've seen more transition points in favor of Berkshire than Kirtland. And Kirtland continually is trying to slow things down just so they can understand this zone that Berkshire has been playing. And I know I've talked about it a lot, but I truly do believe that was the turning point for this Berkshire team when they decided to switch from the full court man-to-man press to that zone 2-3 defense.
Well, whatever they did, it's worked so far. They've got the lead. They're right where they want to be. And now you've got 16 minutes of basketball to kind of hold on to that lead. Kirtland, they're right there in it. The Hornets have to do the same. They just have to find a way to battle back, keep those offensive possessions coming, play a little bit more tighter on defense. Again, I talked about Emil Hess being the X factor early, and he's created some offense for the Badgers just from his length, getting hands on balls. And that's what Kirtland's got to watch for this second half, is they've got to limit those opportunities for Hess.
Most importantly, from drawing those double teams. That little handoff he had underneath the basket to, I believe it was Pillett. That little handoff was caused because there were two guys, one on his left and one on his right. No one cut off the middle. No, he wasn't able to get a shot up, but he was able to give it to Pillett, who then had a wide open layup. And he had a very similar opportunity with Joe Bennington. Almost the second he got off the bench, his defender ignored him to help out with Hess. And then Bennington had an open shot that was pretty close to a layup. It was within 5 feet of the hoop for sure. And we're looking here at coming into the third quarter. This game is by no means over. It's a 1-point game.
Oh, a lot of basketball left.
But I'd say that the momentum has to go to Berkshire. They're here at home. They have the lead, and that has not been the case for most of this game. We'll see what happens here. And right away, Kirtland almost coughs up a ball. That was Samsa. Samsa gives it to Palmer Capretta, and the ball is tipped. Now it's under the hoop. A pump fake from Dave Capretta ends up getting blocked.
Block shot. And we talked about it.
Hess gets it to the corner. Guanera rims one out. Man, that looked like it should have fallen. It doesn't. Now Palmer Capretta slings it across the court. It's almost rebounded by Dom Capretta. Instead, Johnson gets his hands on it. He'll bring it up and gives it to Guanera. Guanera has space. Bounce pass in the lane. Shot is up and rims out for Pollock. He'll get an opportunity at the free throw line, and sometimes that's more important than even making that shot, because this is how you can kind of set up a rhythm.
So that's the third foul on Dominic Capretta early here in the third quarter. That's definitely a situation Nick Gallo isn't going to like to be in with one of his starters with 3 fouls early in the second half.
Pollock rims out that first shot. It was flat. He's going to have to try and bend his knees more if he wants to make this, or make one of these free throws. Puts up the second one. That's short. He gets his own rebound, puts up a layup hard, and it's rebounded by Kirtland. That's Samsa bringing it up. He finds a Capretta in the corner. That's Dom. Back out to Samsa. 3 is up. Rims out. Hess gets the rebound. Johnson's asking for the ball way down the court. He puts it on the court. One power dribble, gets him a rebound. No, he doesn't. It's out. And Guanera tried to save it. It was wild. 6:49 remaining. 28-27. Berkshire. Kirtland has the ball with an opportunity to change that.
I sense we're going to see a lot of activity this half. We're going to see a lot of aggressive play, a lot of loose balls.
It's all about the pressure and intensity you bring to the game. That's Palmer Capretta bringing it up once again. The corner shot is up and out from Davis. Rebounded by Hess.
Who else?
Who else but the 6'5" guy who stands under the hoop. Hess picks up his dribble, passes it across the court to Guanera. Guanera up to Pollock. He's at point, gets it to the middle, up and in, and that is Brian Malkus. 30-27. A corner opportunity for Davis. He gets trapped, tries to get out of trouble. That's Folco. Palmer Capretta. Ball's on the court, back into the corner. Folco with the shot, that's short, and right to Hess. The ball seems to find the 6'5" center. 5:55 remaining here in the third quarter, 30-27. That's Guanera at the point.
That's Dawson Cosgrove, number 22, in for Dominic Capretta.
Guanera slowing things down. He knows his team has the advantage. Hess with a rhythm 12-footer. That one ends up staying with Berkshire. Sometimes over-aggression isn't a good thing, and this time it's almost a turnover, you could say. It's an unforced error on defense. He should have kept that rebound. Instead, he'll sit down on the bench to learn a little bit about what you got to do, and you can see the coach is talking to him right there.
Right, Adam Mueller immediately substituted in for Cosgrove.
Johnson gets at the point, puts it right into Guanera, pumps up, off the glass, stays long. He gets his own rebound. The point guard, it looked like he got hit on the back, but Samsa will walk away without getting the penalty, and instead, Kirtland will have the ball. That's a lucky one there.
Yeah, you'll take him any way you can get him. In a 3-point game, these possessions are crucial.
That's Palmer Capretta. He's working on Pollock. Davis gets around Guanera, puts up a floater, and that's it. 1 point game with 5:15 remaining.
Davis has had a quiet night. He's a guy that Kirtland needs to get hot.
Guanera dribbles to the baseline, passes it to the center. It's back out to him. That's a 3-point opportunity, drains it. Timeout is called. 4-point differential here. 4:58 remaining here in the third quarter. Berkshire leads.
33-29, Berkshire over Kirtland. The Hornets in a little bit of a disarray here now. You lost Dominic Capretta, one of your starting guards, who picked up his third foul early in this quarter.
And Steve, you talk a little bit about rhythm. What did Guanera do? He passes into the center. He gets the ball right back, takes one dribble, and then shoots it right up. Yeah, that's a baseline shot. It's 19 feet from 3 points. And he gets it to fall. Purely rhythm. That's something I'm sure he's practiced in practice, and here it works out for him in the game and gives Berkshire a 4-point lead. This is their largest lead of the game.
Yeah, and it goes back to the night that Kirtland defeated Berkshire 64-50. Kirtland coach Nick Gallo told me, hey, they played without Nick Guanera. He's a difference maker. We saw it there a moment ago. Keith Claypax earlier before the game, he told me, hey, this is the first time I've had my full lineup together since the season opener. He was excited. He was hoping and hopeful they could come out, put together a solid game, and I don't think they've disappointed him so far.
Kirtland has the ball in the corner. Hess is on him, though. And Hess is going to have to switch on to Palmer Capretta, passes it out. It's in the corner now. Back to Palmer once again. Dom Capretta is on the bench. He's in a little bit of foul trouble. He has 3 in the third quarter. That's Davis. He tries to put up a floater. That bounces in somehow. It didn't look like it was going to go in off the first bounce of the rim, but after 2 or 3 more, it goes in. The difference, 2, 33-31.
That's his shot. He's comfortable with that little floater. You'll see, I said it earlier, you're going to see him cut into the lane like that. And that exciting shot against Cardinal in overtime, that was the winner.
Guanera right outside the arc. He gets it to Powlick, into the corner to Johnson. That shot had a bit on it.
In and out.
In and out, and it went glass as well. Normally that tries to control the rim.
Adam Mueller with the rebound for the Hornets.
Davis shoots, rims out, rebound goes up and in for Adam Mueller.
Well, that's how you earn yourself more playing time. You get the rebound, the offensive rebound, you put it back up, and you score.
That's one thing Kirtland struggled with in the first half, getting rebounds. And here in the second half, it seems to be more even. You know what else is even? The score. It's all tied up at 33.
Yeah,
Guanera hands it off to Bess.
You talked about even rebounds. I've got 22 for Kirtland, 21 for Berkshire. It's an offensive foul on Brian Malkus. He'll step out of the game. Joe Bennington will come in for him.
Remember what happened last time Bennington came into the game? An easy layup from Hess. That's Palmer Capretta.
Hornets with their first opportunity to take the lead this half.
Davis swings it. Mueller drives in. Floater is up. That's going to be a charge. Berkshire ball. He was out of control. Heads up play from the young defender.
So back-to-back offensive fouls after the score was tied at 33-33. 2:54 left in the third quarter.
Johnson trying to work on a full court press, has a quick half spin. He has options. Bennington has it. He tries to get it across to Powlick. Wow, I don't know how that isn't Berkshire ball.
Yeah, they've got a tip on that. The referee on the baseline saw it. The one on the sideline didn't see it. It will be Berkshire ball. Yeah, that looked like the ball went off Mueller's hand there. He got a deflection.
Badger country would have exploded if that didn't get reversed. Guanera tries to have a runner, but it doesn't go in. Hess gets the rebound, and now another rebound from Bennington. He passes it back out, tries to get it under control. Johnson has it at the wing. Johnson to Guanera, back into Hess. It's only one-on-one. We haven't seen that very often for Hess.
I've got to think the Badgers heard us when we were talking about them being down 1 rebound because they got 4 on 1 play.
That's a three-pointer for the point guard. Right on the other end, Samsa tries to answer. He doesn't. Hess gets the rebound. Johnson has space. catches, holds, cross court. Guanera again. Rims out, rebound Bennington, blocked, but fouled by Capretta. And he says, yeah, I know, I got a little bit of hand there, but it saves 2. If only 1 free throw is missed by the bench player Bennington here, then Capretta had a good foul.
So Bennington to the line. He's got 2 points in this game.
Rims out, and it looks as though Capretta's block attempt has paid off.
Tommy Powers back in for Adam Mueller. Palmer Capretta, Brandon Samsa, Jeremy Davis, Dylan Falco, and Tommy Powers for the Hornets.
Second shot rims out too. He missed both. From a point-blank layup to 2 missed free throws, and all of a sudden that foul doesn't seem like such a bad foul.
No, especially since it's only the first.
There's 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. 36-33 is the score in favor of Berkshire. Davis has it at the wing. He puts it on the court and is being smothered by Guanera. Now he crosses him up, passes it. Samsa puts it up and in. 36-35. This game stays tight. Guanera has it in the backcourt. He throws it to Powlick, right back to Guanera. He calls out a play without even dribbling, passes it. A foul is called, and Berkshire will take the inbound.
Jack Bailey going to be called.
Remember, he keeps being brought in to be aggressive towards Hess to try and keep him out of the scorebook. A foul there isn't that bad from him because, again, he's just trying to break him up. Now he's not even on him. Instead, he's on Pillett, who had a big impact off the bench in the first half. He had a couple of great baskets, including a game-changing 3. Hess gives it to Pillett. He swings it to Guanera for 3. That rims out. Johnson ends up pushing it off of Tommy Powers and ends up keeping the ball in the hands of Berkshire. No, he won't get credit for a rebound, but he should because that's essentially what he did.
Exactly.
Pillett puts it up off the bounce, and that's short, but he gets his own board, puts it up again. He's wide right. He couldn't control his body. And now, Palmer Capretta gets into the lane, puts a layup up that spins out. Rebound is blocked. Bailey tried to put it up. Foul will be called on Powlick, but he put that right into the Berkshire cheerleading section.
That's an aggressive swat.
Dwight Howard would be proud. There's 59 seconds remaining. It's a 1-point game. Bailey has 2 opportunities at the stripe. He makes his first. He's 2 for 3 tonight from the charity stripe. We have a tie game.
Now,
if the law of averages hold up, he'll miss this and it'll stay tied.
Malkus in for Pollock.
Bailey's second shot is up. This time it's in. 75% on the night. Guanera, with some tricky ball handling, passes it to Pillett. Takes a power step. Passes it right back to Guanera. He's going to dribble. Passes it over to Malkus. Malkus into the corner to Pillett. Back out to Guanera. He's open at the 3-point area. Passes it to Johnson on the block, who tries to pass, but it gets intercepted. Malkus is on the floor.
Timeout,
We're going to
Berkshire.
see a timeout from Berkshire, and a well-timed timeout because I think they were going to lose the ball there.
Very well timed.
36.9 ticks remaining here in the third quarter. It's a 1-point game. The away team has the advantage. That's Kirtland here in this Chagrin Valley Conference matchup. This is just as close as advertised beforehand. You wouldn't guess it based off of records, but that's about all that pulls these two teams apart.
Right, well, we gave you an explanation why Berkshire came in with the record they have. And now that they're at full health, you expected a battle. I expected a battle, and that's what we're seeing.
Again, just under 37 seconds remaining. Berkshire has the ball and a 1-point deficit that they would like to overcome before this third quarter ends.
Tim Pillett, Amo Hess, Brian Malkus, Ryan Johnson, Nick Granera for the Badgers. Palmer Capretta, Brandon Samsa, Jeremy Davis,
Jack Bailey,
and Tommy Powers for the Hornets.
Pillett from 3. just misses. Malkus was a little aggressive on the rebound, and so was Hess. He'll get called for a foul.
That's number 2 on Hess.
That was interesting that he ran into him there because he clearly had control of that rebound. Capretta bringing it up as he has this entire game.
Down to 21 seconds.
Pillett's defending him. He over-pursued there but didn't get penalized. 6 seconds remaining. Bailey at the point. Now Jeremy Davis to Capretta for 3. Rims out, rebound Kirtland's way.
There's Powers and Emil Hess with another block.
Now it's at the three-point area. Step back shot goes wide right. 37-36, Kirtland leads. They couldn't extend it as they did at the buzzer of the first quarter.
Well, here we go. We're down to 8 minutes of basketball. Kirtland up 37-36.
1 point game, and that's the way it was at the half, but the other direction. It's been back and forth this entire game, starting with an 8-0 run from Kirtland, but they would not run Berkshire out of their own gym.
I've got Berkshire with a 27-25 rebounding advantage. Nick Winera now with 13. Jeremy Davis for 9 for the Badgers.
And here's what's really important. Dom Capretta didn't play much of that third quarter.
You're right.
He was in foul trouble from about 6 minutes remaining in that third quarter and didn't see much time after 5 minutes remaining, if he saw any at all. Now he's going to come back here in this fourth quarter. At least I assume he'll come back. He's well rested. He has a couple of fouls to give. It's a close 1 point game. You're going to want your star players in. And as I say it, Dom Capretta comes marching out onto the court. Will his presence have an impact for Kirtland? Or was it him kind of missing some time and seeing some role players step up that really helped out this Kirtland Hornets team?
Well, Capretta should be fresh, which should help him out on the defensive end. He's outmatched right now against Ryan Johnson, giving away a lot of height.
Johnson from 3 rims it out. And now it'll be Kirtland ball. That's Davis to Dominic Capretta, back to Samsa. That's Palmer who has the ball now. Palmer puts it up, gets fouled. That should be on Johnson. He'll have an opportunity for 2 at the stripe, and that's really the only opportunity he's had for points that he's converted on here in this second half. He's a guy who came in averaging 30 points a game after missing 1 game to an ailment, and he's been very quiet here tonight.
Yeah, he's got 5 points tonight. We talked about he was averaging almost 30 the last couple of games, 28 and 29 in back-to-back games for the Hornets, and those were tough games. One was against University schools, so they were undefeated.
He makes the first, and that puts up Kirtland by 2. Meanwhile, we're going to see Pillett step out.
Pollock comes back in for the Badgers.
Second shot is up and in. 39-36 is now the score. 7:36 remaining. Guinera will bring it up.
3-point advantage for the Hornets with 7:27 left.
Guinera gives it to Johnson. Johnson to Hess. He disappeared in the third quarter. Guinera has it back at the point. Passes it in. Shot is up and short. That's from Malkus. Kirtland will have the ball as that dribbles out of bounds.
Yeah, Hess has 5 points. That's what he ended the first half with. Went scoreless in the third quarter. Credit Brandon Samsa. Just like in the first game between these two, Brandon Samsa did a great job on Hess, with some help, of course, from Jack Bailey and a few other guys.
Palmer Capretta from deep. The rebound goes directly into Guinera's hands. Guinera's trying to press this defense. Gives it to Hess. Hess runs into his own player. That's Pollock, and has to pick up his dribble. Guinera has it. Hess starts going in, but Guinera ends up losing the ball off of his own legs. Pollock tries to get something going. Davis dribbles in on Johnson, who emphatically blocks it.
Woo!
And that was all ball right there. 39-36 here. 6:34 remaining in the fourth.
Kirtland will maintain possession.
Palmer Capretta on the inbound.
That's 4 blocked shots by the Badgers.
Davis in the corner on Guanera. Puts up a layup. Rebound Malkus. Malkus to Hess. And Hess will slow things down. Picks up the ball, gets it to Guanera. Guanera tries to direct, as a general, his offense. Pollock, he's on the baseline. Sends it back out to the wing with Johnson. Now to Pollock on the other wing. To Hess inside. He had trouble controlling it, but gathers it a 3 and somehow gets it to fall. We have a tie game right now.
What just happened?
I don't even know what happened because he didn't have the ball for a second. Picks it up, doesn't even take a dribble, and says, why not take a 19-foot jumper from the baseline?
He's a wizard. He just made magic happen.
Speaking of wizards, Palmer Capretta is starting to get hot, 41-39. This is a guy who can score a lot of points in a short period of time.
I'm still baffled by what I just saw at Emil Hess.
Someone needs to @ESPN on Twitter. That's Nessie's top 10 play.
Palmer Capretta with a steal. Hornets with a 2-point lead and possession with 5:20 left in the game.
First he got to happen offensively. Now he's working defensively. Bailey has it now at the point area. It gets Hess out from the middle of the court. Palmer underneath gets hacked. Pollock will pick up another foul. And Capretta, Palmer Capretta, will have an opportunity at 2 more shots at the line. His team already has a 2-point lead.
Capretta with 9 points, tied for the team lead with Jeremy Davis.
The first shot's up and in. 42-39. There's 5:08 remaining. We're going to see a couple of guys entering and leaving, the most notable of which is Tim Pillett for Berkshire. He's been electrifying off the bench. Second shot short. Hess has a one-handed rebound jumping over the defender. Guanera has it at the wing, puts the ball in the court. Pick from Johnson, tries to dribble in. It's back out to Pollock in the middle to Hess. He puts the ball in the court. Guanera grabs it, he's going baseline. Sends it back out to the wing. It's deflected before it gets to Pillett, and the ball will remain with Berkshire. 4:49 remaining.
Dominic Capretta, Palmer Capretta, Brandon Samsa, Jeremy Davis, and Dylan Folko for the Hornets, who now call a timeout. 42-39, Kirtland leads at Berkshire. 4:49 left in the game.
This has been back and forth. 1 second, you'll see Berkshire with the lead. The next, Kirtland has the lead. And the points are being scored in bunches. Don't be confused by all of a sudden seeing 6 points come out of Kirtland and then having Kirtland not score for the next 3 minutes. That's just the way this game has gone. And that's nothing against the defenses, as we saw with that 3 that tied the game at 39 from Hess. There's nothing any defense could have done against that.
No doubt. And here's a tip for you folks at home. Never set your water bottle next to your laptop where the vent fan is. I just took a sip of my water and it's boiling hot.
That water kicks out some heat.
Boy, I thought I was going to have a nice refreshing sip there, and boy.
Instead, it's as though you just finished the second of a 2-a-day practice after those bottles have been sitting out there for 6 or 7 hours.
Yes, that was no good. Looking at some scores here. Mentor's up 84-41. Wycliffe 44-40 over Perry. Chardon leads Lakeside 58-50.
Lakeside's playing tighter than you would have thought.
Orange leading Chagrin 44-34.
That's Pollock on the inbound. He gives it to Pillett. Pillett puts the ball on the hardwood and crosses up Palmer Capretta. Johnson at point. He gets into the lane, puts up a layup, and puts his team within 1. Dominic Capretta is bringing it back up. Palmer might still be recovering. He broke his ankles just a second ago.
It's a nice way to put it. Nice pass by Davis to Dominic Capretta.
The score is now 44-41, just over 4 minutes. Guinera to Pillett. Pillett pumps, sends it into the lane, and that goes right to Dominic Capretta. A deep three goes in for Davis.
Wow.
He's a magic man right now. 47-41, showing off the range with 3:37 remaining.
That is a big shot. Puts Kirtland up 47-41. There's the timeout by Berkshire.
That's a full timeout. They're trying to cool off Davis a little bit.
Well, that was a big shot right there, and that was a long-range three.
He had absolutely, it's just incredible to kind of think this through. He was 5 or 6 feet behind the three-point arc, and he got nothing but net. He had that absolutely dialed in. That might have been an NBA three-pointer.
Well, I've seen him hit some big shots this year. The one I keep talking about in overtime against Cardinal, that right there ranks up there with the best of them, because that's a big shot to put Berkshire, or to put Kirtland up here at Berkshire by 6 points late in the fourth quarter.
We saw Mason Crosby hit a 51-yard field goal, for the Green Bay Packers against Dallas this last weekend. But I think Davis might have more ice in his veins than Crosby did. That was incredible.
You know, and a lot has to be said about guys having that will to win. And at Kirtland, because so many of these guys are football players, they've got that culture where winning is expected. You have to go out there, play hard, execute, work hard, do all those things, but you expect to win. You've been in those situations, and Jeremy Davis has been in those situations. So, yeah, give him the ball in a clutch situation, and he's going to deliver.
That's Hess at the wing. Gives it to Pollock, now Johnson. Guinera puts up a three, and that goes in. 44-47, way to answer.
How's that for an answer, right?
Capretta to Davis. Davis into the lane and pushes it back out to Samsa. That's Dominic Capretta with the ball now. And the ball will stay with Kirtland. It was a reach-in foul, and I think it was on Johnson. I didn't get to see the number that they called there.
I think they gave it to Bennington. Yes, they gave it to Bennington. That'll be his
so on
third.
10. Capretta just split the lane, and he'll start off with the ball again. Davis, another three opportunity, and that somehow goes in. It goes off the back, goes off the front, and rattles in, not out. We're in the middle of a shootout right now. This isn't the Wild West. This is Badger country at the Chagrin Valley Conference.
50-44, 2:47 left.
Hess has the ball. He takes an 18-foot jumper and drains it, 46-50.
They're putting on a clinic right now with some of these shots.
Is there a scout in the audience right now?
Nice step back jumper there, pretty shot.
Palmer Capretta's doubled. Now it's at the corner. It's stolen by Johnson. He's dribbling up the court. He has Guinera, but he takes it himself. Charge is called. And I don't believe it. I thought he was under control. I thought the feet were moving on defense. Instead, it's a charge. That's a big swing because that ball did rattle into the hoop. It could be 48-50. Instead, 46-50, and Palmer Capretta will bring it up for the Kirtland Hornets.
Yeah, mark that one down. 2 minutes, 16 seconds. That's a big change of possession right there. Instead of Berkshire having a free throw with a chance to pull to within one, Kirtland gets possession up 4, and now they're in the bonus. So the next time there's a Berkshire foul, they're going to the line.
That's a great call from Kirtland's head coach right there to call a timeout to slow things down, because a made basket here changes the game completely. 4 points and 6 points don't seem that different. They both seem like, oh, it's a 2 or it's a 3 possession game. But it truly is different in how you're going to attack. You'll see a lot more long threes in that 6-point game as opposed to that 4-point game where you're going to try and cut and make a quick basket with just over 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah, 2:02 here at Berkshire. Kirtland leads 50-46. Berkshire with 17 fouls, Kirtland with 4. That's going to come into play here as the Badgers are playing a very tight, aggressive defense. So now a little of those hand checks and some of those bumps, those turn into free throw tries.
Falco has the inbounding opportunity, gives it to Palmer Capretta. Capretta gets out of a corner jam, passes it across the court. Samsa brings it up and rims out. Johnson gets the rebound. This time he'll slow it down rather than pushing up. Hess has it now. On defense, you have Samsa. Hess picks up his dribble at the wing, gives it to Guanera. Guanera for three. Why not? 1 point game, 49-50. 1:35 remaining here at Berkshire.
Each team has their best players stepping up right now. You see Jeremy Davis, Palmer Capretta for Kirtland, Guanera for Berkshire with a couple of big threes here in the fourth quarter.
That's a kicked ball on Bennington.
They've got him for the foul, and that's going to send Kirtland to the line. Jeremy
I can't
Davis.
believe that's a foul.
That's 4 fouls on Bennington.
Normally in closed games, you'll see a lot of officials swallow their whistle. In this one, you're seeing them brandish it. And Davis has been a key player early on. He makes his first. Remember, these are all 1-and-1 opportunities. That's why everyone went in for the rebound. It's 51-49 now.
Davis with a chance to make it a 3-point game. And he
And
delivers.
he does. Timeout is called. And no, Bennington thought a timeout was called too. He started running off that baseline. Guanero bring it up, 1:17 left. Less than 80 ticks on the clock. Guanero gives it to Hess. Hess takes a shot from the free throw line off the front and rattles out. That touched every inch of the rim.
It sure did, and Capretta pulls down the rebound for the Hornets, who are in control here with 3.
Davis with a corner three, rims out. Johnson with the rebound. He's looking for Hess. Hess gets it. He brings it up the court. It's less than a minute remaining. Guanera outside the arc, and he gets called for a charge. What a defensive play. That's Davis. He's lit up the score sheet tonight and has a heads-up play flopping after being hit by an elbow. There's 43 seconds remaining, and you can tell right now that Kirtland is in control. And now it's Berkshire's ball. Palmer Capretta, normally the star of this team, couldn't control the ball off the inbound. That's a big change in pace.
It is. 40 seconds left. Kirtland up 52-49.
Paula coming in on the inbound.
The Badgers do not need a 3 here. There's still plenty of time to play a little defensive possession if necessary. But with the way Guanera's shooting the ball, I wouldn't hesitate to feed it to him.
Hess puts it in the corner. Now it's back to Hess. He takes a 3. And why
nails
not?
it!
The game is tied with 32 seconds remaining. He did not have an inch from the defender, but somehow got that to fall. Timeout is called, and Badger country is erupting.
Unbelievable. Hess, Guanera, Davis, Capretta. The stars are out tonight.
You cannot stop anybody on either side of the ball. Davis, Hess, Guanera, the names can keep being rattled off. Even Pillett, he hasn't gotten a lot of time in the second half, but he was a difference maker in the first half.
Unbelievable.
There's 32 seconds remaining. Kirtland has the ball, but Berkshire just captured a ton of momentum.
Crazy shots here at Berkshire tonight. You had the wizardry shot from Emil Hess earlier, that 3-pointer, and then the big one there with the game on the line. 52-52, 32.3 seconds on the clock. And I just noticed I hadn't changed the period yet. We were still in the third quarter. Folks, it's the fourth quarter. My bad on that.
Bailey is coming out. He's been on the bench for a while. Both Caprettas are out. That's Dominic and Palmer. Davis stays out. That's no surprise. And the guy who's locked down Hess for most of this game, Samsa, is out for Kirtland. It's the offensive team right now. Davis starts off with the ball. He has the hot hand. 29 ticks remaining.
Look, if I'm Berkshire, I'm guarding Davis closely. If I'm Kirtland, I want the ball in Davis's hands. He's your money guy.
Guanera is keeping him tight. Now Capretta has it. This gym is erupting. This is the loudest they've been all night by a long shot. Hess comes up. There's a mismatch here. Capretta draws the foul.
And it goes in!
Now Kirtland's bench erupts. There's 7.9 seconds remaining. Count it. Capretta at the
Huge.
line. And it looks as though he might force Berkshire to have a 3 to tie it with under 8 seconds remaining.
Wow, what unbelievable. You knew they were going to try and drive the lane because good things can happen there. You can draw that foul. They were
Especially
already in
after
the
he got
bonus.
that mismatch. Capretta's much faster than Hess. He can accelerate faster. He's 5'11". Hess is 6'5".
Well, folks, Kirtland can force a 3.
He misses it. Hess gets the rebound. 7 seconds remaining. He passes up to Guanera. Timeout is called. 5.6 is remaining on the clock.
Jeez. Well, folks, we're going to see some dramatics here. Will Berkshire try a 3? Will they go to try and get it inside and go for a 2?
That last 3 definitely wasn't in the script. That last 3 was supposed to be a 2. If Hess doesn't make that, he might even get benched there. We don't know what's going to happen because of the talent on this side of the ball. And not saying there's not talent on both sides of the ball, but we have seen some, I believe you called it wizardry from Hess earlier.
It's definitely wizardry. I don't know what he did on that turnaround. I mean, you don't do turnaround jumpers behind the three-point line.
No. He played that like it was a high post move. He looked like Tim Duncan a little bit. 18 feet away, why not square up?
Oh, boy.
If not anything else, we've seen an incredible game thus far, and there's still plenty of time remaining. 5.6 seconds. A 2-point game. It only takes 0.3 seconds to score a basket.
Well, here's the age-old question. Kirtland has 14 fouls. Do you try to foul them before they even get to a position where they can shoot? You've got two fouls to give. You're going to waste 2 to 3 seconds there. But if they get into that act of shooting a three-pointer and you get that foul in, now you just hurt yourself.
Hess is on the block. He's all alone against Samsa. Guanera is going to pass it in. He gets
Going
it to
right
Johnson.
to Johnson.
Johnson's under the hoop and he loses the ball, but he's fouled.
That's
was he
on
in
the
act
floor.
of shooting? No, he was not. 4.2 seconds remaining. That's a smart foul because he's right under the hoop.
Yeah, and I don't think Capretta did it intentionally.
Timeout's being called by Kirtland.
I don't think they even called the foul. Okay, they did. They just put it on the board.
Took him a second, but they got it there.
Yeah, it looked like they were just going to say that it was out of bounds, Berkshire ball. Now, that was a great play drawn up by the Badgers to get one of your big guys flying to the hoop.
And you saw the way they accomplished it. He had Hess on one block, and he was drawing the attention of Samsa as well as a lot of wary heads. Johnson came in back door as Hess was coming back to the inbound place. And as Hess came up, he kind of set a screen, not in reality, but mentally, because everyone was coming towards Hess. The defense was cheating. And while the defense was cheating, you give a wide open lane to Johnson. He has a power move. He puts the ball on the court, and during that time, he gets jumped on. That's what makes it a foul on the floor, rather than if he would have gone straight up. That would have made it a foul in the act of shooting. Guanera inbound again. He tosses it to Hess.
Already a foul called.
And I don't think that's even a foul during time. That is a foul literally trying to hold Hess from popping out on that.
And you know what's
and it's
interesting?
the same play once again. 3 seconds remaining. He tries to give
Tommy
it to Guanera.
Powers
It's
with the
stolen.
steal.
Tommy Powers plays hero off the bench. Kirtland wins. You see the disappointed faces of all the Badgers. They had an opportunity, but they fall short, and now their record falls to 2-9. Meanwhile, Kirtland improves. They are 7-1 in the CVC.
Wow.
They are 7-4 overall. That was a game where every single person got everything out of their price of admission.
What a way to end that game, too. You know, when you saw that first play that Berkshire ran, you kind of expected them to get another shot off. And here, Tommy Powers steps in the passing lane, deflects it just long enough to get in position to steal it.
what's interesting is Hess didn't go up with it. He had the advantage there. He's 6'5". The guy defending him was 5'11". He was falling away from the hoop, and all he had to do was turn. We saw him do that from 25 feet. Why couldn't he do it from just 12 feet? I guess we'll never know. Maybe he thought Guinera had the hot hand. He should give it to him, but
yeah, I'm going to credit
the pass rather than the shot ends up changing it.
Right, yeah, I'm crediting Powers on that one because
he dove
stepped
to the
in
floor.
the lane. Yeah, he made a play, and that's what you have to do in a big game like this. Tommy Powers, he's going to finish this game with 0 points, but the biggest play of the game.
The biggest play by far, because if this game goes to overtime, man, you have Hess, Guinera is shooting very well, and you start seeing role players step up a bit for Berkshire. Pollock was playing well. Johnson was up and down the entire game, but he started playing well near that second half of the second half, the fourth quarter, the second half of that fourth quarter specifically. But man, regardless, a great game, a 2-point game, and Kirtland comes out and accomplishes what you think they would accomplish. Berkshire didn't make it easy on them, though.
No, they didn't. Yeah, Jeremy Davis finishes with 17 for Kirtland. That's not a game high because Nick Guinera actually finished with 19 for the Badgers. Palmer Capretta with 12. He came on strong there in the second half as they needed him to. But, yeah, totally, went exactly the way I thought it would. It was going to be back and forth all night. Two good teams scrapping against each other. For Berkshire, it was a game they needed to kind of keep some CVC hopes alive. But even in the loss, what it does for them is it positions them with some confidence for the postseason. They know they can play with Kirtland. That 14-point loss at Kirtland, they can shake that one off and say, hey, this was our real team. This was us tonight. We had some opportunities. We made some mistakes. But they can go into the postseason knowing that, hey, we can ride with the best of them.
And they certainly did tonight. They did earlier this week, too. This is their second consecutive loss by 2 points. 53-51 was the score against Hawken early last week. And now, 54-52 against Kirtland. Two of the top teams in the CVC, and they only get 4 points on these Badgers. The Badgers have lost 4 consecutive, yes, but they've only lost by 12 points. What's the average there? 3 points a game. They're losing by 1 possession, and here they had the ball at the end. It's just finishing a game. That's all that it takes, and you can look at a bunch of different things and say, oh, it was this shot here that could have fallen. It was this shot here that shouldn't have. Let's just make it as simple as possible. The buzzer 3 at the start of, or at the end of the first quarter. That 3 for Kirtland was the difference in the game. And if you take that last 15 seconds and play it a little bit harder instead of giving a Capretta a wide open shot, all of a sudden you win the game.
Exactly, and I like that you bring that up because so many times you'll hear people say, oh, he missed a shot at the end of the game, or he did this at the end of the game and we lost. But you can point out 10, 12, 14 different plays like that affected the outcome, and we had many of those tonight. Outstanding game. I thought it would be and wasn't disappointed. Great showing here by both teams. The crowd, the environment, everything was electric. Fun game to cover. I'm sure it wasn't a great game to coach because there were so many things in there that you wanted to pull your hair out, but Kirtland comes out on top, 54-52. The Hornets remain tied for first place in the Chagrin Valley Conference Valley Division, but things don't get easier. They've got a game against Richmond Heights coming up. They've got Hawken coming up. They've got Upstart Cardinal coming up. So the Hornets have a tough road to go. This isn't a guarantee that they're going to win out. Hawken's very good. Richmond Heights is very good. And anytime you have a 6'9" player on the floor, you've got a little bit of an advantage, and it's tough to beat. Cardinals coming around. So there are teams. Fairport just beat Independence. Independence has potential coming into the second half of the season. They have talent. They just don't have the wins to show for it, but they've gained some experience in that first half of the season that they're hoping pays off down the stretch. So the CVC Valley isn't a done deal. It's wide open. Kirtland, Hawken, Richmond Heights are the favorites, but mathematically almost everybody else is still in it.
Exactly, and what's incredible to me is, again, just talking about how close the top plays to the bottom. Berkshire, by no means in any other league on the planet, would be considered a 2-point loser to two of the top teams because they've only won 2 of 11 games.
Yeah, and well, let's be honest though, Berkshire isn't a 2-9 team, even though that's what their record is. The injuries have played a role in that.
And you saw Guanera come out tonight.
Right.
He's only played one half this season before tonight. If you add that to any of the games that Berkshire's lost recently, you could probably just flip that result and call it a win.
Yeah, so some crazy results for the Badgers. They've had some tough luck, but like I said, they've got the postseason in their sights. They've got a healthy team to do it, and you never know what can happen when you've got some things going. You generate some momentum, even in a loss. I think this is a momentum booster because you played so well and you have so much potential. So there's a lot going right for the Badgers now that they're healthy, and I expect to see them make some noise and a push down at the end. Kirtland, they've still got a long road, and they're playing well. They're doing a lot of good things. You know, you see when a guy like Dominic Capretta goes out, you've got some guys that came in. Adam Mueller, I thought, pitched in and did some really good things. But, yeah, Tommy Powers to come in and make that big play. And he had some other big plays throughout the game. Like I said, he ended up with 0 points, but he's got the play of the game.
He does. And you talk about role players doing what they're supposed to do. What's the reason why Cavs fans loved Verjao, a guy who played 12 games every single year and scored 10 points a game for the majority of his career? Because he brought a defensive intensity to the team that was unrivaled by anyone else. Tommy Powers only played 5-6 minutes in that game. He scored 0 points, but man, did he have a heck of a defensive showing. Yes,
he did. And that's going to do it for us here at Berkshire. I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you all who pitch in and watch the archive. Thanks for doing that. We'll be back. We've got a few on the schedule. I know we've got some wrestling on Thursday. Next week we've got a couple games we're looking at. So stay tuned to OhioVarsity.com for our upcoming broadcast schedule. I want to thank John Kostas for joining me, Jackson Hare for running the camera. This is Steve Hare with Ohio Varsity, and thank you all again. Good night.